So in client attraction, we're really dealing with three issues. And we're going to move on to the first one soon, but not immediately, because it's actually the least difficult of all three. So one is opportunity, right? Where are they? What are the sources of clients? How can we get to them? Access and clarity about who we ought to go after that we should be matching ourselves up with, because your client that's best for you is probably not the client that's best for me, vice versa. Okay? So opportunity is one set of issues. Methodology is the second set of issues. How do we position ourselves? Then how do we market to these people ourselves? How do we actually sell to them once we've got a situation with them? And what we've been talking about all morning, how do we manage them once we get them? The third thing then is really ideology. Right? And that's the least concrete, practical thing we can touch. And yet it has as much to do about our success in getting clients as really anything. So there is the belief system you have about yourself, right? And that gets into what am I worth? What should I be getting paid? How adept am I? How skilled am I? How ready am I? How qualified am I? That belief system. Then there's a belief system about clients. Okay? Are they all cheap? Are they all dumb? Are they difficult to get? But the belief system we have about clients. There's the belief system we have about the business in general. And there's a belief system everybody has about money. Okay? The latter, by the way, which we'll talk about a little bit tonight in a bonus session, most people's beliefs about money are unhelpful rather than helpful, because most of them have been taught to you and implanted in you by people who don't have a good relationship with money themselves. And so you got what you get, right? All of these are important. So if you look at page 102, here's one of the biggies. How dare you consult, write copy for clients who are a lot more successful than you are. Right? So, like one of my very good clients, been with them for many years, almost since the beginning. So Greg Renker and Bill Guthey at Guthey Renker, the company does about $1.8 billion a year. Not even as a couple, divided. They each have a lot more money than I got. Right? They build an enormously successful company. So how dare I tell them what to do and take money from them? Right? So this is really in the way of a lot of people. So first, you never want to underestimate the stupidity of the successful. Okay? So one of the richest clients I have, last year, twice at my house, he walked through the front door. Okay? So he walked through the screen door once and ripped the whole screen out of it. And in the winter, he walked through the plexiglass and knocked all the glass out of the door. Okay? I mean, he's just easily distracted. Okay? The secret reason why there aren't more rich people is because poor people think there's something special about rich people that they don't have. If you took all the poor people and had them go spend a week with rich people, there'd be more rich people, because they'd walk out of the room at the end of the week saying, I can't even believe these people are as dumb as they are. Okay? We got a guy right now to track. You'll probably meet him. His nickname is Frog. Big, heavy-set guy. So Frog, I know he didn't get through high school. I don't even know if he got through junior high school. And Frog doesn't make much money, and Frog's pretty simple. Okay? However, Frog's smarter than some of my clients. Now, the main reason why Frog doesn't have a lot of money, there's two reasons. One, he doesn't care. But beyond that, he thinks there's something just unique about rich people, some gene they have that he doesn't have. He has no idea they're as dumb as they are. If he knew, he might do something about it. So you don't want to underestimate the stupidity of the successful. They're not as bright as everybody thinks they are, not even close. Secondly, there's an absence of specialized knowledge and marketing knowledge. To be fair, nobody's good at everything. Okay? So again, the CEO of Weight Watchers, I'm sure, is very good at being a CEO, but he doesn't know how to get a fat person to a meeting. Okay? So specialized knowledge is really the issue here. So if we jump for a second, so here's page 104. So presidents are dependent on people who aren't presidents to become presidents. Okay? So what Carvel and Rove, one's the satanic opposite of the other politically, so what Carvel and Rove know how to do is direct marketing. They understand demographics, they understand lists, they understand direct mail, they understand how to do direct marketing. The presidents that they made possible probably can't even spell direct marketing. Right? So who's more valuable to who? Right? There's a guy by the name of Ken Cragen. If you don't know him, Ken Cragen had a big career as a talent manager. And neither Kenny Rogers nor the Smothers Brothers would exist without Ken Cragen. My guess is, certainly Kenny made more money than Cragen did, and my guess is the Smothers Brothers made more money. So Donald Trump, I assure you he's richer than Burnett or his chief negotiator and lawyer, George Ross. But he ain't possible without George Ross. George has negotiated, done all the contract work, closed every deal from beginning to now. You see him a little bit now because he's on the Celebrity Apprentice every once in a while. But generally speaking, he's invisible. Right? But he's pretty important. So here's this list. So Arthur Knight is the guy that keeps my collector cars running. Right? I'm worth a lot more than Arthur. Right? But I pay him what he demands because I can't. Ignition key radio. That's the extent of my automotive knowledge. Okay? And I'm now up to 4 cars, 3 of which are old. So I need this guy. Jim Welch, he works for us at the track, but he's also a carpenter, handyman, whatever. So he has a key to my house, and he makes the house work. Because I don't know how to do that either. So if something goes wrong, I call him and he comes over, but mostly he prevents anything from going wrong. So he comes in, he changes light bulbs, he takes the lint out of the dryer, he tightens the hinges, he puts the patio furniture away in the fall, gets it out in the spring, does the deck. I pay him whatever he asks. Right? In his case, he refuses to itemize the bill. Every year he just gives me a slip of paper with a number written on it. Right? He goes and buys stuff. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't care. Because what am I going to do without the guy? Right? I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I have no earthly idea how to get lint out of the dryer, nor incidentally do I care to know. I can't hang a picture straight. So every so often, there's a bunch of wind pictures piled up, and he comes over and puts them up. I don't have to tell him. He just comes and does it, and at the end of the year, gives me a piece of paper, and I write him a check. Okay? Now, he can't possibly be close to my net worth. I know he doesn't make the income I make, but that is irrelevant in our relationship and in my willing to pay him whatever he asks. And we shall not tell him, but had the number on the piece of paper last year been double what the number was, I wouldn't have said a word. He doesn't know that, and there's no point in telling him. And he probably won't be there tomorrow night. So. Darren Garman, now we're climbing up the ladder a little bit here, but so Darren handles real estate investments of mine in Iowa. Still, I'm richer than Darren and I make more money than Darren. But I can't read a real estate contract to save my life, nor do I wish to. I don't want to keep track of when we need to do a 1031 exchange. I don't want to know. So I don't question And his relationship to me in net worth or income is irrelevant in our relationship or my willingness to pay him. I won't belabor the point. I'll just say people. So Daniel Wiggins manages my pension accounts. Tracy Monroe is my accountant. 2 literary agents. Amo Judd is the guy that owns the charter company that flies me around. Claire Umholtz, my horse trainer. Okay, I guarantee you, I got more money than any of them. Maybe a few of them added together. That's not relevant in our relationship or what I am willing to pay them, because they have specialized knowledge and specialized skill that I need. So a big key here is making the client understand the specialized nature of what it is that you do. We'll talk about positioning. We'll get there. Third, consulting is about much more than who has the bigger wallet. And everything attached to consulting is about much more than who has the bigger wallet. So there's a lot of value you might deliver in a relationship that has absolutely nothing to do with the income differential between you and them. So one is simple, fresh eyes. The classic, too close to the trees to see the forest, or vice versa. I forget how that goes, but there's actually a term for it. It's called scotoma. Almost every business owner has it. You should look it up because it's a good rap to give them. Part of your diagnosis is you have scotoma. I do. Yeah, and you're going to glow in the dark if you don't fix it. So just fresh eyes. You see things they now no longer see because they become immune to it. Just like we become immune to smells in our house, right? So if you're a cat owner, you don't smell them anymore. Somebody fresh comes in, they smell it in a hot second. If you're a cigarette, where was our cigarette smoker? You. Say, okay? So our cigarette smoker, right? It's in your clothes, it's in the furniture, it's in the car seats, and you don't notice it, and she probably doesn't notice it anymore either. Okay, see, yeah. Well, see, my parents smoked, people at the track smoked, but my parents smoked all the time. It doesn't bother me because I grew up with it. So I can be sitting right next to a smoker, it doesn't bother me, okay? But somebody walking into your house who's a non-smoker, they know so we become immune to that. Well, we visually become immune to what's going on in our business too. We just don't notice stuff. And so fresh eyes is a big issue. They don't notice that they haven't updated that brochure in 18 years and the photographs in it look like they're from the 1950s. They don't notice because that's their thing and they're immune to it. Dumb questions. The asking of dumb questions is enormously valuable. Not just smart questions, dumb questions. Hardly anybody gets asked, well, why do you do that? Well, why do you do that? Well, by the time you get to the third, why do you do that, by the way, most of the time they can't defend what it is they do. They don't know. I don't know why we do that. You know Zig's story about the ham? How many don't know the story about the ham? Raise your hands if you don't know the story. I got to do it because it's useful to you. So you want to memorize it. You want to be able to tell it. I'll just tell the short version. You then go build an embellished version. So, and it may not be Zig's, but Zig told it enough that it's Zig's. So the story about the ham is that the daughter now is making holiday dinner for the first time, and everybody's going to be coming over, right? And she is getting ready to cut the ends off the ham to put it in the pot, and people there object, why would you cut the ends off? And she says, well, you always cut the ends off. Well, what do you mean you always cut? Well, Mom always cut the ends off. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So they get on the phone and they call Mom, why do you cut the ends off? And she says, you always cut the ends off. Well, why do you cut the ends off? Well, because Grandma always cut the ends off. So they get on the phone and they call Grandma, right? Why do you cut the ends off the ham? Which is, I cut the ends off the ham because I only had one small pot and the thing wouldn't fit in it. I don't know why anybody else cuts the ends off the ham. So for 2 generations, everybody's cutting the ends off the ham because that's what we do, right? Well, there's a lot of that in business. So if you ask like 3 dumb questions in a row about anything, you'll get to the point they can't defend it. And then that's kind of interesting because there may be opportunity there to do something better. Forced thought, just making somebody slow down and think about their business. The questionnaire. If you make them fill out the questionnaire, and it's a really good questionnaire, many will say to you, just filling out the questionnaire was valuable because it made me think about what I'm doing in my business. They don't stop and think. They show up every day and they're just doing, right? So forced thought, their interaction with you, make them defend ideas. So as I said, every business and every business owner has this secular religion that they believe about their business. It works just like a real religion. It's got 10 commandments that can't be broken. It's got the stuff like you can't eat fish on Friday or you'll go to hell until we change our mind, and then you can't eat fish on Friday, but you except during Lent. And if you're Amish, you can use a cell phone in your business, but you can't bring it in the house. And so businesses have the same crap. They all have the same pile of articles of faith that they believe about their business, their products, their services, their prices, their customers. They haven't been tested in eons. If they have ever been tested, they're not fact-based, they're not data-based, they're not experience-based, they're just a belief system. So how do you know that? So they tell you X. Right? Our customers won't spend more than this for that. How do you know? Well, I know. Really? When's the last time you price tested? We've never price tested. Great. Okay. So you don't know squat, right? That's what you don't know. You believe, but you don't know nothing. You don't know anything. Right? Well, they would never do that. How would they never do that? Do you know? No. Well, let's ask them. Let's find out. Right? Unearth ignored or neglected opportunities. Again, you can bring a strategy box to the table that's different than their strategy. Find the undervalued story. This is big. Almost everybody, every business, and certainly every business owner, somewhere has buried, usually it's personal, theirs or someone's, a great story that they're not using. Because mostly they focus on product. They don't focus on person. So, and Miracle Air, for example, now they didn't give it to me. I had to find it. It turns out that company, let me see if I have the piece. I don't know if I brought the piece or not. Yeah, the piece. So, you're not going to be able to see it real well, but here's his picture. It's this guy. It's a World War II, it's a fighter pilot guy, World War II guard, but he's next to a World War II airplane. This is the founder of the company. This guy, I mean, it's incredible. I'll just read you a couple lines. My name is Ken Dahlborg. In World War II, I served in the Army Air Corps as a fighter pilot. On August 16, 1944, I and just 7 other P-51 Mustang pilots fought 80 German planes near Dreux, France. I shot down 4 Messerschmitts before I was shot down. A French family hid me, and I made an escape on a bicycle right past enemy forces to rejoin my squadron. I was shot down a second time on December 28, 1944, during the Battle of the Bulge, and on February 14, 1945, I was shot down for a third and last time. I was wounded on landing, couldn't escape, and ended up a POW in Stalag No. 7 until the end of the war. In total, I flew 103 missions, and I'm a triple ace. Having shot down 15 enemy aircraft, I received the Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Star, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, and other awards. Now, the average customer here is 60 years plus. Okay? It's buying hearing aids. Okay? This guy's John Wayne, Audie Murphy. They ain't using them. They don't even tell me the guy exists, because why is that important, right? Go hire a celebrity. We got a celebrity. And they got him buried. They don't even know he's there and has any value. I find him. I find out about it by talking to a franchise owner in some dinky town somewhere who has one store, who used to be the CEO of the company 3 owners ago and worked for this guy. He tells me about him really as an oh, by the way. Not because he doesn't think it's anything either, but at least he tells me. I'm going, what? What? Is this guy alive? Yeah, he's alive. Is he lucid? Yep, he's alive and lucid. He still's got 4 companies. He buys this one back every time the big company screws it up, fixes it, sells it again. Oh. So now I go back to the management. I say, are you guys okay with him? Oh, well, yeah, he gets a royalty on every sale. Oh, yeah, why aren't you using him? How would we use him? Sure, great, okay. Say, well, that's my story. That's my guy, right? Because now I use him because he wears one to sell guys on the idea that it's not lopping off your manhood to wear a hearing aid. If it's good enough for me, John Wayne, it's okay for you, right? He's like gold, this guy. I find it again and again and again and again, and they don't know they got it. They don't know it's important. They don't know any of that. So, stories, validation. Sometimes it's just validating for somebody that what they are doing is smart, right, clever. This ought to stay in place. Okay? Motivation. Hey, owners of businesses need motivated too. Who motivates the motivator? Who's telling them, great job, go get them? Nobody. Accountability. A lot of clients need to be held accountable for implementation. Nobody holds them accountable for implementation. It's a value. Help with decision-making, implementation, or accelerated implementation. Maybe they get it done without you, but they'll get it done faster with you. Resources and connections. So all of those are values that you bring to the table that have nothing to do with the relationship between your income, your net worth, their net worth. Right? Why do people ask others for advice? All sorts of reasons. Right? All sorts. Right? There are categories on your page 105, so sometimes they just want a sounding board. Sometimes they're looking for shortcuts. Again, they could get it done without you, but they'll get there quicker with you. Okay? Now, why do clients hire copywriters? Well, basically the same reasons. So A, they have a real need, and they can't do it themselves. And they know that if they do it themselves, they'll muck it up. Okay? So even if they have big in-house, so Guthrie Ranker has all kind of in-house marketing personnel. Why they got me working on a project? Okay? Because they know if they do it in-house, they're going to get the same stuff they already got. It'll be derivative of derivative of derivative. I did a bunch of work years ago for Amway Corporation, and we sat in the boardroom, and we were talking about doing the infomercial part of it, the video part of it. Well, they got studios up there that'll make Hollywood look sick. I mean, they got great facilities. And the one VP says, no, we want you to do it all outside. Because I was talking about going up there and shooting. Why do you want me to do it all outside? He says, because if we do it, we do any part of it. We'll Amwayize it, and we'll be right back where we started from. Now, he gets like the gold star for knowing, but so they need you to do it because they can't do it themselves, right? Another one is they can't do it as well, or they can't do it as quickly. Special purpose. They got a crisis, they got an opportunity, whatever. To implement strategic plans. Okay? So if you bring them strategy they don't already have or aren't already using, you get to create work for yourself. What do you need to capitalize on this? You only need more know-how, skill, and available time than they've got. The punchline of that joke is, I don't need to outrun the bear, I just need to outrun you. Okay? If you don't know the joke, somebody can give it to you on a break. Okay? I'm time pressed. But, so, you only need more. So John Francis Tighe's quote, if you don't have this, you should like write it on your walls somewhere. It is, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Okay? You don't even need both eyes if your client is half blind. Right? So you only need more than they got. And you need enough vision to identify opportunities that they haven't seen. That's the deal. So none of this has any relationship to I'm successful, they're more successful than I am, etc. I'm going to hold this maybe for later. So let's go to positioning. So let's jump to your page 114. Actually go, so you can jump over to 115. There's two things here I want to give you. Use Ogilvy as an example, but it wouldn't matter if we used others. So if you look at contemporary top copywriters, or you look at great advertising people who built great ad businesses. So it doesn't matter if you look at Halbert, or you look at Benzavinga, or you look at Carlton, or on down the list, or you look at Ogilvy, but I'll use Ogilvy as an example. So there's two things in this write-up about Ogilvy that are critically important. Right? The first one, I think I underlined them. Yeah. So the first one is the statement, above all other advertising people, Ogilvy advertised Ogilvy. Now, you got to get this. Okay? You got to be in the business of advertising you, not just your services. Because all services can be commoditized. The distinction and the differentiation has to be you. So everything we're going to talk about in positioning has that as a consideration. He was as much in the business of being Ogilvy as in the business of being anything else. Not in advertising, but if you look at Trump. See, Trump, anybody thinks Trump's in the real estate business is like 10 years behind the times. He's not in a real estate business, he's in the Trump business. Right? And it's a better business. Right? So you got to be in the you business as much as you are in the writing business. Because the point of differentiation is all you. This is extremely uncomfortable for a lot of people. I get that, because I didn't like it at all. My preference would actually be probably many of your preferences. My preference originally would be to be invisible, in oblivion. Nobody knows who I am. I work in isolation, and I get a lot of money handed to me through a slot for my work, okay? That would be my preference. I don't like having my picture splattered all over everything. I don't like all the self-aggrandizement. I'm over it now, okay? But, I mean, for a long time, I didn't like any of it, okay? I would much rather third-party sell than first-party sell, meaning I'd rather sell somebody else than sell me. The problem is that I don't get all the money, so I abandon that fairly early. But by preference, I'd rather do it. Okay? So I get it. Okay? I understand, probably more than you can imagine. Okay? But what works is self-promotion, self-marketing, self-advertising, making it all about you. And so I will get that now. Gee, it seems like it's all about you. Yep, you're right, because that's where the money comes from. So jump to 116 and let me talk about a clump of information. So in the beginning, so now for your beginners. In the beginning, you want to become known for something to a chosen market, which is why it's important to narrow the field of who it is you're going to market yourself to. You've got to get known for something. And it's easiest to begin narrow and then go broad than it is to begin broad and go narrow, because you get lost when you're broad. So if you look at the next page, so here's sort of my path. So I started early by positioning myself as somebody who did direct response marketing. I understand direct response marketing. I'm a specialist in direct response marketing, and so I can get results. So broad would be now direct marketing for any business or sales pro, right? But immediately I also went narrow, and so I lived in two niche markets. I sold to other speakers, so to my peers, at the time about 6,000 or so reachable in that universe. And so direct response marketing for speakers. Get gigs, sell product, right? I'm the guy. I understand it better than anybody else, right? And I went to chiropractors. Now, I backed into that by accident. It's really not important how I got there at this point. I'm not a chiropractor, never been a chiropractor. I can do everything but give an adjustment. But to the right person under the right circumstances, I can give an adjustment. Um, but I went there now as a direct response marketer to put patients in the doors of offices. Significantly, this group really paid no attention to my broad existence. Most didn't know, didn't care. They also didn't pay any attention to my marketing of myself to speakers, vice versa. Most of them, unless they happened to speak to chiropractors, had no earthly idea I was over there doing what I was doing. To this day, 3 years ago I was at Parker, which is a big chiropractic convention, and even though we made no attempt to convince people this, we made an attempt to convince them of the opposite. People are coming up, Dr. Kennedy, haven't seen you in a long time, okay? Because we did such a good job talking to them in their language, they just have in their head that I'm a chiropractor. Now, so let's stay over there for a second. So from there, the commonality, right, is putting the patient in the office. So it really doesn't matter now what kind of office we're putting the patient in.